So on our first night of this tour, I think this is night 5, and we've just been traveling around the UK playing fucking really weird little places that I've never been before and very possibly will never go again, Brighton excluded. We started the tour in Gateshead. We went to Carmarthen. We went to Bath. It was very beautiful. Anyway, Gateshead was our first night, and I was like, oh, what are we doing? Why are we here? It was actually a really beautiful show, and like a lot of things got made clear that night. One thing that became made clear is I was like pretty well into the set, and this girl, like during one of these breaks while I was talking, this girl in the back goes, Amanda, I have to pee! And I was like, is she alone or does anyone? And everyone was like, yeah, let's go! There was like mutiny. And I was like, okay, should we just take an intermission? Yes! Okay, so we just stopped the show. To be fair, some people went to the bathroom. Most of the audience went to the bar. We figured it out. It was good, but then we decided it would probably be a healthy decision to insert an intermission into the show. So the show now has an intermission, which you will find out because it's going to happen soon. Maybe not soon, but you know, it's going to happen. The other thing that happened in Gateshead on night 1 is that a couple of people left the show. Left the show. because it was too sad. And they were really nice about it. They weren't like, like, they left, they bought t-shirts, they talked to my wonderful merch queen, Alex, and they were like, we just couldn't handle all the death. We've got to go. And I was like, oh God, like, it hasn't happened yet, just so you know, most of that shit is gonna happen after the intermission. It's like I spend the whole first half of the show making you trust me, like this is all gonna be great, and then the second half of the show is just like, and then like at the very end, it's all gonna be fine. But also, the last 6 years of my life have been relentlessly brutal. Right, I know it's laughing. And I'll tell you about it as the night progresses. You guys can take it. I figured if this is, I'm gonna be putting a lot of these new songs, which I'm gonna play for you tonight, on an album, which I'm going to make in September. So a lot of what you're hearing tonight is not recorded yet, not in its proper form. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do the saddest show in the world to match the saddest album in the world, all of 2019. And if the fucking British people can't handle it, no one can handle it. I might as well just not tour and do one webcast and be done with it. I love you too. Anyway, okay, so here's one of the songs. Long story short, because we have to stay on kind of a schedule tonight. Very long story short. In 2012, when I recorded that album, Theater's Evil, I did a big Kickstarter. It was technically great. I'm sure some people in this room even supported it. If you did, thank you. It also got a lot of blowback, and people were angry at me for a whole variety of reasons that went on and on and on. And after that album, instead of going right back into writing and touring, I took like 2 or 3 years out of my life, and I spent them explaining myself, like opinionated woman style. Why crowdfunding was okay, why artists have a different way of thinking about exchange, why the art marketplace isn't just you know, like the shoes and the plumbing marketplace, and how there's a beautiful exchange between human beings that has existed since the beginning of time. And I did a TED talk about it, and I wrote a book about it, and then 3 years went by, and I was like, oh, fuck, I don't even feel like a musician anymore. I feel like a fraud. I should get back to that thing. And then I had a baby, and then I was totally fucked. So, and in a good way. Well, that's also why the baby happened. Don't get me wrong, I'm really, really happy I had this baby. The baby is amazing. The baby has an amazing father, Neil Gaiman, who I think might even be in the audience, if he made it. And I didn't want to do Kickstarters over and over and over again. It seemed exhausting. And so I instead moved to something called Patreon, which is basically a subscription to me and my channel of art and songs and albums and videos and webcasts and whatever. Like, we're actually filming the show tonight for my Patreon, and I have the money to do it because there are all these people out in the world who are supporting me to do it, and it's beautiful. And it's also really helped me to write songs because I've had this like amazing instant audience to give the songs to, who will pay for them. And a few months after I had the baby, I was like in this whirlwind of like, oh, it just happened to me. I was really stubborn as a new mother. I didn't want to get help until I felt like I absolutely needed it. Does anyone else have that problem? I was just like, I will do this myself. I will feel the full weight of this child. And so, you know, for the first 4 or 5 months, it was just me and Neil, and we were traveling around, and I took the baby on a trip to visit some people all over America, and people who are important. And I got to my friend Jason Webley's house, and we challenged each other the night I got there, because we were having this conversation about how we both felt like bad, undisciplined songwriters. And we were like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna write 8 songs each. Challenge. And we were like, okay, let's go to bed. And I had this baby. I was like, I don't know, I think this is gonna happen. I will will it so to be so. And so we woke up the next morning. We were really lazy. We slept in. We went and got coffees. We got breakfast. We played with the baby. It was like 4 p.m. And I was like, are we gonna do the writing 8 songs thing or what? And Jason went to one corner. I went to another corner. He wrote like half a song about his town's local donut shop. He didn't even finish it. And I wrote this epic stream of consciousness, this is what is going on in my head right now song. We recorded it that night on the piano in his place. And then a few days later, because I had my Patreon and I could get paid to just throw a song out into the universe, I did it. And I'm going to play it for you now. I warn you, it's really fucking long because I did not have time to edit it. The artists are laughing. It's true. It's much harder to do something short. There's a sing-along part at the end. It's super obvious. When we get there, you'll know. Our son is 4 months old, his name is Anthony, or Ash for short, and he's too small to do things by himself. We were in LA over Christmas in a rental, and we jerry-rigged a place to change his diapers on a shelf. I was peeing in the bathroom and had left for just a second, 'cause I thought he couldn't move and he was safe. As I came out, I saw him falling in slow motion to the floor. It was probably the worst moment of my life. And then I accidentally stole a thing of chapstick from the Safeway. I didn't see it till we got out to the car. I would have usually returned it, but I was overwhelmed and late to take the baby to our cousin's, which was far away. In my defense, I'd bought like 80 $57 worth of groceries, and the chapstick was $1.99. I know it wasn't the right thing to use my newborn child as an excuse, but it felt like a real reason at the time. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. And then we went to Sarasota to see Neil's cousin Helen for her birthday. She just turned 99. We were also there for Sydney, who was 94 2 days before, but he was sick, so mostly it was Ash and Helen time. She survived the Warsaw Ghetto, and she always says I love you when she sees you, 'cause she knows you never know. She'd worked for months while I was pregnant on a gorgeous handmade blanket, her almost 100-year-old hands crocheting every row. I'd been emailing her pictures of the baby with the blanket every day since she had sent it in the mail. But they were of one that someone else had knitted. She was really nice about it. Then I went and shoplifted a pair of ugly sunglasses from Goodwill. They were on my head. I tried them on and left them there, but that's not really bad compared to when we left the baby in the car. At least he wasn't in there very long, and not directly in the sun. And thank God no one walking by happened to notice what we'd done. I'm even scared to put these lyrics in a song. But everything is relative and everyone's related. I can't do that much right now, but take care of this baby. I figure everything is technically all right, if at least this baby doesn't die. I'd also like his dad alive, so darling, careful when you drive. And then I took a plane to Washington alone so we could visit Jason Webley, who's his godfather and plays a mean accordion. I couldn't wait to see him and share tales of our disasters over dinners in his houseboat when I saw I'd lost my passport, so I got a rush appointment at the place where you replace them, and I drove the baby in, and on the way I got a speeding ticket. When the cop came to the window, I was shaking and I said, I'm sorry, but you couldn't hear me. That's how loud the sound of screaming was, 'cause he was hungry, and I think that that I was speeding, 'cause I panic when I hear him cry. My God, what kind of mother am I? And as I pulled out of the breakdown lane, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. At least the baby didn't die. While I was waiting for my passport, I was hungry, so I twittered for a coffee in the neighborhood, and there I saw a woman who was sitting at the bar, and it was noon and she was drinking, and she called across the diner to me, "How old is your baby?" And she smiled at us nursing, and she said she had a daughter who was grown, and then she paused and said she also had a son. And when I'd paid and was about to leave, I picked him up and crossed the room and touched her sleeve. I said, "Hey, this baby wanted to say hi." And she held him tight and started to cry. And I'm sorry that this story's gotten long, and that everybody's crying in this song. And then I got back in the car and turned the radio and heater on and sat there with the baby in the back. And they were talking about Syria and climate change and ISIS and the candidates' positions on Iraq. I feel so useless in this universe. I know I could be doing worse. I'm trying hard to stay at peace inside. I know it's hard to be a parent, but this mess is so gigantic. I wonder if I should have had a child. And as I pulled out of the parking lot, I cried. And as I pulled out on the highway, I said, right. At least the baby didn't die. Everybody! At least the baby didn't die. I can't hear you! Like it's your baby not dying. Keep on going. I may not make it to the passport place on time, and they might revoke my license for a while, and I might get caught for retroactive theft, and I might get turned You sounded beautiful. Thank you very much. I have really good news for you, which is that I wrote that song about 2 years ago. And that same baby is still alive. So speaking of politics, which we weren't, but we kind of were. At least the overwhelmed mother in the back of the car in the last song was talking about that. I'd like to play you another Dresden Dolls song that has sort of crept back into my set just because, well, for awful reasons, because it's relevant, which is terrible. It'll be funny later. Yeah, I know you guys. You're smart people. You know what's happening. I don't need to say anything, right? Okay, good. Yeah, we have a terrible president in America. Everyone is suffering a whole lot. It's not a good scene, and what the truth is becoming very strange, if it wasn't already. Mrs. O, will you tell us where the naughty children go? Will you show how the sky turned white and everybody froze? Heaven knows how they got into the fireplace. But everybody's saying grace and trying to keep a happy face. And Mrs. O, will you teach us how to keep from getting cold? Out we go, and you watch us as we faced the falling snow. Ha! What a show! With our hair dryers aimed heavenwards and 50-foot extension cords. You really have a way with words. The truth won't save you now. The sky is falling down. Watch the vultures count the hours. April trains may bring strange shores. Mrs. O, will you tell about the time they made you go all alone to the palace where they took your only clothes? Ha! We all know there's no hell and no Hiroshima. Chernobyl was a cover-up. The world is really all in love. And oh, Mrs. O, will you leave us hanging now that we are grown up and old? Will you kill me if I say I told you so? Oh, we all know there's no Hitler and no Holocaust, no winter and no Santa Claus. And yes, Virginia, all be Thank you. Oh, you should hear it with the drums. It's so good. I'm gonna play you something new. Newish. So I mentioned the way I wrote that song at Jason's house, and it was really liberating to go like, oh fuck, if I write this song today and put it out tomorrow, the way that can I actually ask? I haven't been doing this on tour, but I kind of want to do it tonight, especially if you're on my Patreon. Will you raise your hand? Yeah, thank you. So all these people have been giving me, on average, people give me about $3 a month, and it's sort of like all of a sudden I have a salary, which is a very, very weird feeling for an artist who's just been freelance all my life, and who's had to just hustle and go like, oh, I have these songs, I will record an album, hopefully people will buy it, hopefully people will come to the shows, hopefully it'll all work out in the end. And it's only just been occurring to me lately because of this, like how much I always had to think about how I was going to have to sell whatever it was I was making. Every artist deals with this in some form or another. It's a huge pain in the ass. Because on the one hand, you just want to be lost in the art that you're making and the songs and the arrangements and the production, and you don't want to think about money at all and how you're going to get this thing that you're making to pay your rent. But pretty much every artist, unless you're independently wealthy, is going to have to grapple with that question at some point. And I wrote a lot about it in my book, but when I started my Patreon, I realized that I still had a ton to learn because I was still really stuck in an old way of thinking, where like, you make a song, it's about 5 minutes long, you find a way to monetize it, even if it's through streaming or whatever. And when I wrote that song, the not dying baby song, I was gonna call it the dying baby song, that's fucking terrible. Don't let me do that. The song was 11 minutes long, and I was like, oh, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's 25 minutes long. It's just going to go out on the internet in a digital form to all of these people who have already pledged $3 to pay for it, no matter what I make. That's insanely liberating. Oh my God, that means I could do anything. I could just take a Polaroid, a picture of my ass, and call it art. And I mean, a lot of those people would probably leave. And this, so this last August, I didn't have anything to put out, and I try to put out one thing a month, so I just like collect the monthly money that's there for the taking. And I didn't have anything to put out, and I was like, fuck it, I'll just write something. I put a blog out. I think I probably had 7,000 or 8,000 patrons at the time, and I was like, okay, on Thursday, whatever it was, I'm gonna go into the studio, I'm gonna write something because I have to get something out by the end of the month, and I'm just gonna hold an art gun to my head. And that day I'm gonna write a song, the next day I'm gonna record it, and then the next day I'm gonna send it out to you guys. Okay, tell me what's going on in your lives. I'll find something in there to write about it, I'll merge it. And in late August in America this last year, things were actually really frightening. There was tons of weird political shit going on. Hurricane Harvey was descending on Texas, and people were thinking this was gonna be the next Katrina because it was looking horrendous. My fans in Texas were evacuating their homes. They didn't know if they were gonna see their stuff again. And these terrible pictures in the news were flooding in, like people stuck on rooftops with no way to escape, and old people in nursing homes trapped in water up to their waists. And it was relentless. And all of that was happening against the background of me reading all these blog comments from all these people talking about how isolated they were feeling. And then I was really ready. I sort of had these images in my mind, and the morning I went into the studio to write, I made a fucking rookie mistake. I had a coffee, I sat down to my laptop to just make sure everything was okay, and I wrote a funny post on Facebook about Taylor Swift. And that was so not the right thing to do on a busy day. And it wasn't even really funny, and I won't go into it because the story is already getting long, but the post was basically like her new single had just dropped, Look What You Made Me Do. She was looking like angry goth Taylor, and I was like, oh, hooray. Angry goth Taylor has arrived. She didn't get what most of us got, or at least most of my people. She spent her teen years being a marketable, sanitized country singer, you know, good, clean-cut country singer. She didn't get to go through a goth phase. She didn't get to like be locked in her bedroom, burning incense and smoking clove cigarettes, listening to The Cure and Depeche Mode, slicing her wrists. She missed all that. It's finally coming. We should support her. And then I made another, you know, like a little PS joke about how she had just gone into like a corporate partnership with UPS, which is an American package delivery service. You know, and the trucks are brown, and I was like, don't do that, brown is not goth. You need to find a different endorsement deal with like coal or something dark. It wasn't even funny. I came back to the internet 15 minutes later, and the post had gone viral, and the top comment with like 900 comments was, underneath it was, Amanda Palmer is an unapologetic racist. And I was like, how did you get there, the internet? And then I went and like read the supporting arguments that like Taylor Swift once did a bad thing that people considered racist, and so me making a joke about her was obviously an endorsement of her racism, and therefore I was a racist. And I was like, internet. That's what you do, isn't it? And that made me think of all the people on the roofs. And I had also just been at the eclipse a week before. I took the baby down to the eclipse. The full eclipse went right through America, so I drove down just to see it with the baby, who was still quite a baby, and I just stuck him on the ground and watched. It was amazing. He fell asleep just as the moon went. It was like he was a robot mammal. He was just like, and which was because I didn't have to take care of him. He just laid in the grass in this field in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, as I watched this immense thing happen and all these birds going crazy, not knowing that I had put him in a field of skin-eating insects that crawled all over him. So he looked for the next week like he had some terrible, deathly measles disease. He didn't die. It was all good. All of these things went into this song, just so you know. All of that. Now you know. You've got a glossary. I'd also been listening to Anita Franco all week. That helps. Worship the sun and you're aching for change, but you keep starving your head. You used to have sisters, you don't anymore. You worship the sun, but you keep feeding the dark. And I'm out in the yard with my son and my daughter. The sky is all black, and I think we should start running from the water. And everybody's yelling, they're yelling that they're coming, but I don't see a single soul. They're all so busy yelling, not one of them is hearing the hissing from the bottom of the boat. I got some feelings up my sleeve, I got a compass in my arm, I got a needle in my heart, it's gonna tell us where we are. South by southwest, 2 miles from town, I can get up, I can look down if you can hear, if you're around. I'm over here, I'm watching everyone I love, drowning in the sound. worship the sun, but the moon's in the way. So get your armaments out. She's always looking for trouble. She's gonna get what's been coming to her. She's switching the tides. We can't have that shit around the television. They're blaring out a warning that our natural state is drowning, that our natural state is burning. And you're trying to help, and you're clicking for change, and you're calling it out, and you're adding your name, and you're marching for peace, but you're lynching the bitch that got up in your face. How was they gonna take you seriously? South by Southwest, 2 miles from town. I can't get out. I can't look down. If you can hear, if you're around, I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm watching everyone I love, drowning in the sun. And your body is a temple, and the temple is a prison, and the prison's overcrowded, and the inmates know it's flooding, and the body politic is getting sicker by the minute, and the media's not fake, it's just very inconvenient. Do you ever feel like this should be officially the end, and that you should be the one to do the ending, but you can't? Do you ever feel like everyone is slowly letting go? Do you ever feel that incredibly alone, and they're saying not to panic, and it's like a broken record, as if anybody knows what that is? And they're saying that we'll manage, is the hottest one on record, and they're saying that that's just the way it is. Now I can taste it coming, I can taste it with my tongue, and my children are so heavy, but I pick them up and run, and I know I'll have to swim soon when the water gets too high. I'll keep holding them above me, I keep holding them and crying. South by Southwest, 2 miles from town. I can't get out, I can't look down. If you can hear, if you're around, I'm over here, I'm over here. I'm watching everyone I love, everyone I love, everyone I love. Drowning in the sound. Worship the sun, aching for change, but you keep starving your heart. You used to have sisters, you don't anymore. You worship the sun, but you keep feeding the dark. Thank you very much. All right, so before we leave you to this this legendary intermission, during which anything can happen, our intermissions are known to be like the rowdiest intermissions in the world. Crazy shit happens. You guys are responsible for doing that. I would like to bring a special guest out to the stage. It's important to tell you a little bit of backstory, which is when Andrew and I got into the Brighton train station. No, the Birmingham. Yeah, thank you. I know that guy. Yes, the Brighton train station doesn't have a shopping mall. The Birmingham train station has this giant offensive shopping mall filled with really shiny things, including like a Swarovski crystal ball gown prom dress. Do you know the one? It was like Oz. And so we had to go in, and then once in there, we had to get a dress. And so I would like to welcome to the stage Andrew O'Neill. Put your hands together for the one and the only. So we needed an appropriate song for a dress this hot.
It's less penisy than it was in Birmingham now.
It's still kind of penisy.
Well, look, what can you do? What I've done is I put my swimming trunks on underneath it.
That's hot. Yes. Were you just going commando in Birmingham, or did you just have underwear?
I had normal pants on.
Yeah, it was a full package.
To be honest, it's like there was a shadow. It was interesting. I was like, oh, it's just like, it's not quite the look I was after.
Your swimsuit is right now it's all bunched up because you pulled the dress up. You need to smooth it out a little bit. So we were there in the dress shop, which was its own story. Really not my story to tell. Mostly it was traumatic for Andrew, not me. I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, they said, you're going to have to wear it outside. And I went, no, they're for me. And then Amanda, stroke of genius, went, it's for my wedding. And they did this amazing, through gritted teeth, fine!
Oh, I said Andrew was my maid of honor.
So they had to take us seriously. And they're like, yes, yeah, if you need it, it's fine. 2018, why not? Fine! There was so much transphobia bubbling up within her. It was I'd never had anybody, I hadn't even had a shave either. I wasn't really it wasn't like I was in a girly mode. I was wearing my Neurosis shirt and I was a bit smelly. I was genuinely worried about the smell I was leaving on the dresses. Anyway, fuck them, they're transphobic pricks. And we're auctioning the dress at the end of the tour, and Amanda's getting her 250 quid back. 250 quid, right? And then we're going to give the rest to an LGBT anti-transphobia charity.
So watch out. So there we were in the Birmingham train station.
The boring.
Needing a purpose for the dress, because I was like, well, we'll make this part of the show. We need a song to do together that's like works with a dress like that, like a lounge song.
And I'd already done Goldfinger, bear that in mind.
And I was like, I have this one that I was actually maybe going to do in my set. You could just sing it. It's a weird song. It's kind of a lounge song. It's also actually a love song, but it's kind of a twisted love song. My husband, Neil, complains who's right here actually watching us, which makes me nervous.
Makes you nervous? I'm singing a fucking love song to him.
This is gonna be a totally different performance tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
He complains that I don't write love songs to him, and I'm like, as if I wrote a lot of love songs to past boyfriends. I'm famous for my acerbic breakup songs. You're psyched. But this is what he got. It'll all make sense in a second. As performed for you by Andrew O'Neill.
You tell me.
Shit, did I fuck that up?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's start over.
Okay. Good evening.
Hey!
My name's Andrew O'Neill. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Okay.
You tell me.
Oh, it's because I'm playing the 7th. Because I'm nervous because Neil's here. Let's start that again.
You're showing off.
A Song for You by Andrew O'Neill.
You tell me that you love me when I'm lying by your side. You tell me that I am the only one who understands your troubled mind. That I am blind to any evil you could do. And that I love you more than any normal girl could ever do. You love the things that I love. You love art and you love books and you love love as much as I do. And you love my dirty looks and you love me right now. So how can you love Vegemite? It tastes like sadness. It tastes like batteries. It tastes like bumps. I cannot hold a man so close who spreads this madness on his toast. It is the Vegemite, my darling, oh, it's me. You have to make a fucking choice. I cannot sit with you at breakfast. The very smell of it obliterates my senses. And if that weren't bad enough, you even spread the shit on your toast at lunch, which means we can't spend any time together. What kind of relationship is that? The choice is yours. My heart is in your hands. Please wash your hands. Cause there's Vegemite underneath your fingernails. Thinking about it, I'm hoping it's Vegemite that's underneath your fingernails. Cause the only worst thing in the world that it could be is the same fucking colour and consistency. I mean, hang on, what? Have you got Vegemite underneath your fingernails? Have you been spreading it with your hands? There's a knife on the top. Look, I didn't want to bring it up, but you've been wearing odd socks all day. And I don't want to bring it up because I thought, no, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to be the bigger person. But now you fucked me off. And now I've brought something up. I said I was going to leave. And now I feel bad because you made me feel bad. The thing is, right, we live in an age, yeah, where you're supposed to be, like, accommodating of other people's foibles, other people's mental illnesses. We've got an increased empathy of other people's mental illnesses. And that's good. That's entirely for the good. But trouble is, right, it's fucking annoying, isn't it? Because it's fun to hate people, right? And then when you hate someone and then you find out they've got a diagnosable mental illness, it takes a fucking wind out your sails, doesn't it? He's a fucking prick, isn't he? Well, he is on the Asperger's. Well, he has got autism spectrum disorder. Oh, yeah, okay, that would account for some of that behaviour, I suppose. That's fine, yeah. So you know what? She's a fucking bellend, no, isn't she? Well, she's got borderline personality disorder. That would account for that. Yeah, I suppose that would. I'll tell you what, though, he's a cunt, that bloke, isn't he? What a murdering, psychotic cunt. Well, he has got post-traumatic stress disorder from the time Batman threw him into a vat of acid. Fuck! Can't even fucking hate the Joker now. There's no diagnosis for hating Vegemite. No, I don't get any funding. I don't get a fucking Guardian column. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we didn't recognise mental illnesses. We had spastic retards and weirdos, and that's the only diagnosis that GPs had. You can't use those words now, and I didn't. So, yeah, no fucking diagnosis for hating Vegemite. I love you. And no matter what you eat, I'll always love you completely I might just have to leave the room at mealtimes and refuse to ever kiss or fuck you for a week. If you insist on putting that foul death paste in your mouth. You are my heart, but put yourself inside my shoes. I have to know it shouldn't be too hard to choose. I know it's tearing you apart, but it's the way it has to be. It is the Vegemite, my darling. It is the Vegemite, my darling. Put down the Vegemite, you B12 boosted bastard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew O'Neill!